Now on CoastTV News.
Milford Police Pay raise.
We want to attract the best, and I think we've done that.
What positions are seeing more cash? New representation in District 20.
My goal starting today is to be as visible as possible.
How Representative-elect Alana Berry plans to connect with voters. A Seaford garden vandalized.
I know it hurts today to see the vandalism.
What officials could be doing in response.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with a orange level air quality here in the first state. According to DENREC, wind has gradually pushed the Canadian wildfire smoke into Delaware, leading to a code orange air quality in the state. This was Milton in 2023 after wildfires caused bad air quality. DENREC says the current air is unhealthy for sensitive groups, which include people with heart or lung disease, older adults, children and teenagers, and outdoor workers and more. One vacationer has seen bad air quality before due to the Canadian wildfires.
Definitely very, very hazy during the daytime. Very difficult to see the sun. When you could see the sun, it was very orange. It was quite noticeable.
According to DENREC, air quality is expected to gradually improve, but sensitive groups should still be cautious as these wildfire smoke lingers. And we're now going to take a live look outside into the capital of the first state, Dover, and bring in our first alert chief meteorologist, Paul Williams, for a look at this air quality and the weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Brandon. Well, first and foremost, I want to inform you that we have good news on the immediate horizon. Even though we are currently under an air quality alert, we are expecting for it to expire within 1 hour. So that is a bit of good news, but it's in effect for the entire state. Now, here's what we anticipate happening for tomorrow. We're going to look at going from orange back to yellow is what we're expecting, and that's considered moderate. It's not as good, so to speak, or green, but we are going to step away from the orange level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. So that's a bit of a help. Now, when we talk about the air quality alert, unhealthy for some. Now, we're talking about people with heart and lung diseases, older adults, children with a limit. Should definitely limit their outdoor activity because it could be dangerous. Now, here's a look at when we have a scale that's one of our models that's actually tracking the smoke that we anticipate. By the time we get into Friday, we're looking for what influence that we have to really begin to thin out tremendously. Coming up, we'll talk more about what to anticipate going to the weekend. Till then, back to you, Brandon.
Thank you, Paul. Police pay in Milford will be bumped up after a city council meeting tonight authorized the 2026 pay scale that was approved in a 5-2 vote. The main focus of this pay scale was raising the pay grade of the police chief from a grade of 13 to 14. Now that means the police chief will now make $125,000, as well as raising a police captain and lieutenant grade to 13 and 12 respectively. Milford Mayor Todd Collada says this move aligns with the city's pursuit of maintaining public safety.
So we want a adequate, well-trained, well-educated professional police force, and we want to attract the best. And I think we've done that. You know, we have a fully staffed police force in a time that it's very difficult to find police.
Mayor Collada tells CoastTV that this pay change allows Milford to better compete with surrounding agencies. The Sussex County Republican Party is regrouping after falling just 121 votes short in Tuesday's District 20 special election. GOP Chairman Daniel Willis praised candidate Dr. Nikki Miller and the campaign's momentum, noting they narrowed last year's 245 vote gap. Willis saying in part, quote, "We may not have crossed the finish line this time, but we are not far from finished." The statement goes on to say, "Let this moment be our fuel, not our finish line," end quote. And Democrat Alana Berry won that race by just 121 votes. She'll fill the vacated seat by Stell Parker-Selby. As CoastTV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us, people in the district are happy to have a lawmaker present in Dover once again.
Alana Berry is now a representative-elect, out in downtown Milton just hours after winning the special election for District 20.
My goal starting today is to be as visible as possible in Representative District 20, so that means attending community events, that means being out and about, hosting meet and greets and coffees with folks so that I can get to know them, they can get to know me, and we can get to work on the issues in this district.
Berry says she has a clear idea of what matters to those who call District 20 home and will bring that to her fellow lawmakers.
Many of the issues that I heard voters talking about, like infrastructure and roads and clean water and air, are all things that require multiple people at the table in order to make a difference here.
Berry fills the seat vacated by Stell Parker Selby, who missed every day of the legislative session after a stroke. She resigned in June. Berry tells CoastTV the legislator, which she is now a part of, needs to look at their policies in cases like Parker Selby's.
I think that it's a statewide issue. This isn't the first time someone has had a long absence while serving in their seat as a legislator, and so I think it's a good next step for the state as a whole to start to think about what happens in that situation. There are other states that I've looked into that have different processes for interim seats and other things like that, and so I think we just need to be able to figure out what that looks like in Delaware and what makes sense for here.
A new voice for District 20. Berry told us she will officially be sworn in on August 12th, right before the special session on the same day. Reporting in Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
We spoke with District 20 voters today on Berry's win and specifically how it brings representation back to the district.
I'm glad that we have representation again. That's good. It's unfortunate that Stell had the stroke and had the difficulty with her health. But it's good to have somebody live now and, ready to go.
As long as she represents us in the correct way, helps us out with traffic and residential building, that's what I'm concerned about, if she could help us out with that.
Berry and Miller were neck and neck. Just 121 votes were the difference, but absentee ballots seemed to push Berry over the edge. Berry had 469 absentee ballots. Miller had 193. According to the Delaware Department of Elections, you can get an absentee ballot if you have a qualifying reason under state law. Some of those reasons include if you're sick or physically disabled, if you're serving in the armed forces, or if you're taking care of a sick family member. And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what's your biggest expectation for Alana Berry? Let's take a look at the updated results from our 6 p.m. news hour. Two leaders so far deliver results at 46% and avoid party politics at 42%. If you haven't voted yet, you still can on our mobile app or on CoastTV.com. A 19-year-old from Salisbury is accused of impersonating a Maryland state trooper in Wicomico County. Police say Jaden Ballard made traffic stops in a patrol vehicle while wearing a MSP uniform earlier this year. Police are asking anyone who may have interacted with Ballard in Wicomico County to contact Maryland State Police. A community staple in Seaford has suffered a big blow. Volunteers noticed tampering in the community's garden over the past few days. Heads of sunflowers were cut off and taken, and plants were ripped at the roots. The saddest part, it's going to hurt those who need it most in Seaford. 1,200 pounds of produce was donated to those in need just last year. Seaford Mayor Matt McCoy expressed his concern and his willingness to help the community garden move forward.
I know it hurts today to see the vandalism. What we want to do now is, what can we do to prevent this from happening again? So as a city, as the mayor, I want to help them. What things do you guys want as a board? Do you want to establish additional security measures? If it's fencing, if it's cameras, whatever you want to talk about, let's have the conversation, see what we can do as a city to help you, make sure this never happens again.
The founder of the garden says the board has considered putting up cameras in that community garden in Seaford. Big numbers from the first weekend of recreational weed sales in the first state. Delaware racked up over $903,000 in total sales, including $625,000 from adult use alone. Officials say flower made up of more than half of all of those sales, and dispensaries passed state compliance checks with no issues. A faulty boiler that caused a carbon monoxide leak at an Ocean City hotel has been resolved. The Ashore Hotel says the boiler was repaired and received approval from the city's inspector on Monday. This comes after a carbon monoxide detector went off late Friday morning, sending 4 to the hospital, though everyone was okay. The hotel was reopened safely Friday, but had been operating with disrupted hot water and mill surface as this boiler was fixed. Out-of-county trash. It's officially banned at the Wicomico County landfill. Late last month, it came out that the Wicomico landfill was on the brink of a crisis because it was filling up too quickly. The county says the issue was commercial haulers picking up trash from other counties and then dumping it in Wicomico. This new legislation makes that illegal and allows the county to impose fines and possibly even ban violators from the landfill altogether.
We have to go in the right direction. This legislation is going to help us do that by actually codifying penalty phases for people that are bringing it from outside of the county. As we can see, we've already seen a decrease in traffic. Is that going to be enough to really pull us out of the crisis? You have to hope it's going to be enough.
The county executive says she does intend to sign this bill into law. On Maryland's eastern shore, federal leaders say an invasive species in the Chesapeake Bay could reel in real benefits. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins was in Talbot County today. She joined Congressman Andy Harris to tour a seafood processing plant, and the USDA announced $6 million in grant money to help seafood processors, especially when it comes to blue catfish.
Representative Harris and I are working together to get a win for our rural communities who now have a new processing facility that will support good paying jobs. A win for our fishermen who are ridding the Chesapeake of a destructive invasive species, and a win for our local communities who have another source of protein from the charitable and for the charitable feeding network.
The invasive catfish have threatened native species for years, but officials say more processing power means more jobs, more food, and more opportunities, all to turn a Bay problem into a national solution. We are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. Indian River Inlet dredging, another possible solution to dune breaches. Kent County EMS shortages, how a court's decision could change that.
And we take a look at our Bay forecast. 80 degrees on Thursday, down to 78 on Friday, and we go back to 80 on Saturday. We'll have your full forecast, including your weekend details, in just 60 seconds. It looks like we're going to get a relief from the concern with the air quality that's been tanking for the last 24-hour period. So things should get a little bit better for us, but particularly as we go into the weekend, it should get progressively better after that. In Ocean City, our dry take camera, we're looking at 74 degrees actually. Now we warmed all the way up to only 77 in Georgetown. That's way below the norm for this time of the year. And we're hovering in the 70s as we speak. 73 in Rehoboth, 72 Milton and Long Neck, Dagsboro, and 71 degrees right now in Seaford, Laurel, and Georgetown. The winds are coming out of the northeast, picking up a little bit of muster, so to speak, particularly for Rehoboth, Indian River Inlet, and Bethany Beach, between 20 to 23 mile per hour gusts. Rip currents, that's a concern for us at Lewis Beach, Rehoboth, Dewey, Bottom Hills, Ocean View, all the way down to Fenwick Island. That's going to stay a problem all night and going into tomorrow. Now we also have very gusty winds, actually with the small craft advisory, so it's active there. A beach hazard statement is basically talking about the same concerned about 3 to 5 foot waves and strong rip currents along the beach for us in Ocean City, along with small craft advisories that are active. And of course, we have the air quality alert, which is expected to expire, within the next, half hour or so. That's why we're looking for it to stay moderate going into tomorrow. Now, here's a look at the tracking of the smoke. This is from those fires that came out of Canada, and it's thinning out nicely for us as we see the rain mixing in and helping to kind of pull out of the way. Now, as far as tonight is concerned, we're going to be between 64 and 70 degrees. For the beach forecast, we're looking for the UV index to be at the high side and the rip currents to be on the high side as well. So that's what we need to be mindful of as we're trying to enjoy the beach over the next couple of days. Now, Friday going to Saturday, we're staying relatively clear. A trough is going to add a little wrinkle as far as what's happening in the upper atmosphere, but we should be quiet. Keeping an eye on the tropics. We have about a 30% chance of some development, but I'm just mentioning just as a passing because we're going to start seeing more activity from the tropics, but we have about a 30% of development and it's expected to move really more away from the coast. Saturday through Sunday, low pressure out to sea, trying to develop into something tropical. It'll bring in the backside of this along with this high pressure system. Both of these will converge together and create a strong push of air that's going to be relatively dry. We want to keep a close, mindful eye on that. Finally, here's a look at the 7-day forecast. We're going to stay below the norm for most of the next 4 to 5 days, but we are going to warm back up to the norm and slightly above that after we get past the weekend.
Thank you, Paul. A staffing shortage in Kent County is putting essential EMS services at risk. Kent County EMS officials say they currently have 12 vaccines and haven't fully recovered from staffing levels since COVID. To address the crisis, EMS leaders turned to Kent County Levy Court for help. Last night, the court unanimously approved an upgrade to the paramedic sign-on bonus program, increasing bonuses for both the new and experienced paramedics, all in an effort many hope will attract more candidates.
We're hoping that a little extra incentive bonus will incentivize someone to pick Kent County over the other great, our partners that we have north and south, Newcastle County and Sussex.
Kent County EMS tells us the sign-on bonus also includes a $5,000 incentive for new students to help cover their school and training costs in Kent County. And here in Sussex County, plans to replenish the Indian River Inlet are expanding. About 5,000 feet of beach north of the inlet will get 550,000 cubic yards of dredged sand. The north part of the inlet has long had issues with erosion, including dune breaches last year, and this comes after work this spring, and this next phase of work will start in the fall. And we're now going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams to this side of the desk. And Paul, you have something coming up next month. We want to hear more about the Walk for Prostate and how really deep it really affects you.
It's something that someone brought up to me, the fact that even if you're 30, you need to go ahead and get tested then because that's where you set a baseline. But listen, we all started from scratch and trying to raise some awareness of it, this silent killer. But this year, we wanted to up the ante and provide free screenings for any man that shows up at Cape Henlopen State Park. Thanks to our medical partners, there will be a doctor to follow up with the free, with no charge to those folks after they actually have these blood or PSA tests. And so that's what we wanted to do. We really wanted to ramp up raising the money for this as a result of that. And then we're at Crooked Hammock today, and then all of a sudden, man, this happened. Take a look at this. These folks are from Atlantic Liquors, probably the most unlikely folks you'd think would sponsor a cancer event. But they showed up with a gold level sponsorship for our event. And they will be passing out prostate cancer literature for their customers leading up to the event in September, starting with the 12th for the registration and then the 13th for the actual walk. Now, what you need to know is this. There's no use of having free screenings without someone there to utilize it. Sign up your fathers, your uncles, your brothers, your husbands, your neighbors for the screening that comes with signing up for the walk on September 13th. And remember, the biggest symptom is no symptom. I was screened by chance, and I wouldn't be here had somebody not accidentally had me take a PSA themselves.
Thank you, Paul. I will be there and I will be screened. We're all looking forward to that event. Coming up next here on CoastTV News at 11, Apple is investing $100 billion in the United States. Find out why next. But first, a risky rescue at a U.S. military base. That's next after the break.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
3 U.S. scientists working in Antarctica are recovering after a high-risk rescue early this morning. New Zealand's military says one person needed urgent medical care and 2 others needed medical attention. The New Zealand Air Force braved extreme cold and weather conditions for the 20-hour operation that the U.S. team being rescued had to carve out a runway on the ice before rescuers could land in the dark using night vision goggles. The mission was a success. All 3 patients were flown to New Zealand for further treatment. Apple is set to invest $100 billion, billion with a B, to expand its operations in the U.S. The Trump administration has made a push for Apple and other tech companies to return or produce more of their products here in the U.S. It's the administration's effort to have companies become less reliant on facilities mainly in China, India, and Vietnam. 6 months from today, yes, in less than half a year, the 2026 Winter Olympic Games return to Italy. We expect to see over 3,500 athletes from 93 different countries compete in some new sports this year, including ski mountaineering and mixed gender team skeleton. These games run through February 22nd, and CoastTV is your Delmarva home for the 25th edition of the Winter Olympics. Coming up, we check in on the White Marlin Open leaderboards and see if there are any big changes after day 3. And in medical news, we take you up with a new rare disease you should know about in today's Health Minute. And we now take a live look outside into Salisbury, and after the break here on Coast TV News at 11, we have a final check on your forecast.
We salute Albert J. Burke, a Milford native whose exceptional journey in the U.S. Army and the Delaware Army National Guard has earned him a well-deserved place in the Delaware Aviation Hall of Fame. From his courageous service during the Vietnam War to his decades of dedication to our nation, Albert's legacy shines as a beacon of honor and unwavering patriotism. His remarkable achievements, including numerous awards and qualifications, reflect his extraordinary contributions to our country.
Spicer Brothers and Coast TV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a Coast TV salute, go to coasttvsalutes.com.
In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither lays down 5 facts about a rare disease we should all know about.
It's a serious type of pneumonia caused by Legionella bacteria. The first fact about Legionnaire's disease is that it's spread when vaporized water with the bacteria in it is inhaled.
When there's a large water supply that's contaminated, that multiple people have exposure to, that's when you can see these pockets of outbreaks, like what we're seeing in Harlem right now.
Dr. Joseph Cabaza with Cleveland Clinic says Legionnaire's disease is still considered very rare, but fact 2, you should know symptoms are similar to flu and include cough, fever, headaches, muscle aches, and shortness of breath. Fact 3, the disease is treatable.
Early prompt antibiotics is crucial. Delayed antibiotic treatment really allows infections to get deeper, cause more problems within the lungs, and sometimes bacteria will spill into the bloodstream.
Fact 4, the CDC says most healthy people exposed to the bacteria don't get sick, but some are at increased risk, including current or former smokers, people ages 50 and older, and those with specific health issues or conditions. Finally, fact 5, there's no vaccine or medicine that can prevent Legionnaire's disease. The New York City Health Department says the best way to prevent it is by properly maintaining water systems where the bacteria may grow. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says you can protect against waterborne germs at home by flushing faucets or shower heads that haven't been used in a while. You can turn on the cold water fully and let it run for about 2 minutes before turning it off.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studio.
What's going on, everybody? Day 3 of the White Marlin Open has concluded. Let's see how those leaderboards have shifted.
And would you look at that, we got our first white marlin of the tournament, and it's a local angler out of Ocean City with a 72-pounder with a current award of a whopping $4.26 million. It's still early, but what a catch by Bill Fisher. And the top of the leaderboard for the blue marlin remains the same. That 929-pound blue marlin caught on day 1 stays at number 1 in their category. As for tuna, Bo Mama C remains in first, reeling in that 95-pounder on day 2. But we have a new second and third place. No Limit reeled in a 92-pound tuna, and Boat Don't Ask had a 61-pounder. As for the dolphin category, boat Barbara B still on top of the 32-pound dolphin, followed by Rochambeau with the 27-pounder and Sweet Freedom with the 26 pounds. Now remember, the tournament is now extended until Sunday, so there is still a lot of time for these leaderboards to fluctuate. And speaking of our leaderboards, none of this will be possible without our great sponsor, Rudy Marine.
White Marlin Open leaderboard coverage is sponsored by RudyMarine.com, where family boating begins.
An endangered bird is back in the wild thanks to a rescue made by Delaware environmentalists. Here is Nomad, the piping plover. According to Denrec, he was found at Fowler Beach, unable to fly, likely hurt while escaping a predator, but he was treated and Nomad recovered within a week. Biologists chose to release him in a much safer nesting site at Cape Penelope State Park.
Well, good for him. He moved into the right neighborhood there. All right, so in Lewis, 74 degrees, winds at about 19 miles per hour. We're going to stay in the lower 70s with increasing cloud cover throughout the night. By the way, our umbrella giveaway winner, Tom O'Connor of Milton. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're going to stay below the norm for this time of the year until we get to, let's say, Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We'll climb back into the 90s. But until then, let's enjoy this ride without all that humidity on our side.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, is up next. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.